Oh, good. Okay. I'm so happy. Oh, my God. Ah. God. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, God. Ah. Okay. Now, this is a myth of justice. I can't find it.
I must have left that in your room.
Okay, 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 okay. Fuck. Okay.
Oh God, what's this?
Okay. What's wrong? Hello, DarkStream is back. I thought my modernist poems had been confiscated by the authorities, or the tech had thrown them out. And wonder of wonders, he brings me this file, loose leaf file, full of my modernist poems. And this is a poetry like no other poetry ever written. It's basically, it was written in 2015, 5 years ago. It basically relies for its effectiveness on my personality. It's a exposition of my personality. So I'm talking about, I was born in 1943. I'm talking about growing up in the 40s and 50s. Back in the day, I'm talking about the 40s and 50s, my homies, my day. The cars were built to deflect bullets from Tommy guns, and the girls didn't have acne and Dracula circles around their eyes or cover themselves with tattoos. We didn't have sex, or Kanye's or Kim's, not even a Paris. If we liked a girl, we called her on the telephone. I still remember a big-chested brunette who talked to me for hours till I fell in love, then ended up liking someone else. Lucky me. I used to help an old farmer on a nearby farm, Mr. Packard on the corner. After we worked all day in the orchards, he would stop walking and glance at me. I wasn't old enough to talk to. I was only 12. He would reach into his overalls and give me any change he happened to have in his pocket. If I was lucky, 75 cents. That was my day. This is autobiographical. These poems are all autobiographical. They're all absolutely spontaneous. I'm just reading these things as I find them at random. Symbolist poetry. I wanted to see what everyone else was doing and went online and found Seidel, the best, the veritable cat's ass of contemporary poets, the icon famous for his iconic line, "I do don't." It's about freedom, I assume. It's a free country, and we are free to do don't till the cows come home. So I dove in and read everything online, verily everything I could find, and went to Barnes & Noble's and read the poetry magazine and couldn't understand a word. Listen to these titles. Please don't start running your gator. Schopenhauer. All right, so this is just a reminiscence of my being a philosophy major at UC Berkeley, class of '75. Schopenhauer. My idiot college professors at UC Berkeley failed to realize that philosophy is now history. The pre-Socratics were the first scientists. One believed everything was composed of water. Heraclitus said everything was in flux. We still say the more things change, the more they remain the same. Science has now supplanted every branch of philosophy. But I still read Schopenhauer. He said you can tell everything about a man from a single gesture. I had to do this when picking a jury because half of what the panel said was lying. My girlfriend is another case in point. She ordered an exercycle for the apartment. She discovered that a part was missing and ordered it a month later. When she began assembling it again, she found that another part was missing. My idiot college professors at UC Berkeley, oh no, that's an incomplete poem. Wait a minute. It's sort of funny, though, because it's true. Okay. I'm looking for the case of the disappearing sugar babies. All right, this is a true story about my girlfriend. How I got caught moving the bear box by my proletarian girlfriend. My girlfriend has covered every inch of our apartment with kitsch that her mother, the stewardess, collected from Athens to Port-au-Prince. A dog's dinner of abominations. Her favorite is a cute little itsy-bitsy box of tiny bears and trinkets that makes me want to throw up. When she's gone, I hide it, but last night she came home early and surprised me. Calling from the apartment, hysterical about who moved the bear box. I didn't know it was gone, I said innocently. I promised to look for it diligently. Then I suggested that it may have jumped on top of the cupboard near the refrigerator. Boy, did I catch hell. I had to promise at least 20 times never to move the bear box again. Oh, this actually happened. A poem? ? Peeps tell me that they can write a poem. All they have to do is express themselves. Great, I think. Let me meet this interesting person. I find words on a page, but there's no one there. Here's the problem, dear friends. You have to be a poet to write a poem. I remember reading about a PR girl who drowned her newborn in the bathtub and texted someone about it and ended with LOL. I am a reactionary. I was born in 1943. When I grew up on a farm in Michigan, I thought everyone had a mother and father and said grace at the table. I never knew of anyone being arrested for a crime. I thought women worked in the kitchen and men supported their families. I knew what a divorce was, but never knew of anyone getting one. Everyone knows that the dinosaurs have become extinct. It's called the Great Triassic Permian Extinction. We are being engulfed by a great army of beings who look like human beings, but are nothing more than inseminators and hoes. Left to their own devices, they will become extinct. The day will come when they all drown their newborns in bathtubs and text LOL. This is unseemly. I say we offer them family planning. Brutal stuff, huh? Well, I mean, I'm giving it to you blood raw, my homies. I'm telling you how I feel. All right, wait a minute. In memoriam, the Hawk brothers of the now extinct Damu Riders LA gang. 15 shot dead. That's true. Big Hawk and Baby Hawk, they be dead. Their little brother, Little Hawk, he be alive. But only because Little Hawk, he be doing life in prison for murder. If he not be in prison, it'd be a matter of absolute certainty. If he not be in prison, it'd be a matter of absolute certainty that all the Hawk brothers, they be dead. Oh, here I talk about the LOL again. I decided to take over the country. That's the title, but it goes on. Because the American people are not ready for freedom any more than small children. They are adults with the minds of small children. Someone needs to tell them when to go to bed at night, when to stop eating, drinking, drugging, procreating, medicating, lying, spending, hating on one another, spraying one another with bullets, discarding, suffocating, and drowning their newborn in bathtubs and texting LOL. My girlfriend used to live with me. My low-down, cheating, lying bitch. I caught my bitch lying and cheating again. I lose all respect for her when she does this. I feel she's my own personal whore. No, it's not other men. Her three all-consuming interests in life are money, money, and money. I know she can't help being the way she is. As Gertrude said, a whore is a whore is a whore. I like to think she's a tabula rasa, and I can write, I'm a good girl on her, and it will come true. This is called magical thinking. When this doesn't work, my salubrious influence, my edifying sermons, I resort to ominous threats of needing an operation to have my boot removed from her ass. I'm speaking metaphorically now about kicking her out. She cringes like a cur when I say this, but it's all an act. She ain't nothing but a hound dog. She said she was high class, but that was just a lie. I was mad at my bitch when I wrote that. A mismatch. More about my bitch. If I hadn't fished her out of the gutter, she would be dead now. She tried to kill herself twice, she says. Of course, she has a hard time telling the truth, which may not be her fault. They say bipolars imagine things. And then there's her cognitive impairment. She remembers what she wants to remember. I don't think she does this on purpose. I think she's genuinely insane. 23, all A's with high honors? Question mark. But she has done so much shit. I used to love her, but it's all over now. I've learned to appreciate healthy girls. They don't have to be movie stars and Barbie dolls. I'll take a 5 for my 10. Yeah, she's a 10, bitch. Man, I haven't seen his phones for years. Tech put them away for me, and I was when he was cleaning, and I assumed he had thrown them out, and I didn't want to upset him by telling him what he had done, so he just brought them to me. There's one I can get canceled for. Oh, this is a nice one. Down with shame. Why are people still wearing clothes? 100 years ago, Bolshevik anti-shame activists paraded naked through Moscow, carrying banners that proclaimed, "Down with shame." They felt that shame was something we should be ashamed of. Don't believe me? Google it yourself. Hey, I'm all for young women parading naked. I'd love to see a law that prevented them from wearing clothes. But as for everyone else, no thanks. That's true, by the way. Just Google it. July 29, noon. That's 2015. A good day so far. Checked the internet for mass murders and found none. Any day without a mass murder is a good day in the good old USA. God, thank God these things are not every day or every week occurrences. Jeez. Oh, this is, I like this one. I tell on my YouTubes, you gotta read all my YouTubes because you're gonna learn stuff that you won't learn anywhere else, not Oxford, Harvard, Yale, anywhere. Important stuff, okay? At 5, I talk about having a vivid recollection of my life from the age of 1.5 in my YouTubes. At 5, I remember running to the door of the home of my kindergarten teacher. I can see her standing in the doorway to greet me and slender, lovely, young. I can hear her calling my name. "Hi, Russell." I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. That's how I express this memory now. I would have used different words then or been speechless. She stroked my head as I walked in, and I was engulfed with love. I have never felt so much love. I wish I could remember more. I can't even remember where I was. No, I can't even remember why I was there, except that I had come into her home to get something. Mother had just let me out of the car, and I was beside myself with joy. Let me think. No, that's all I can remember, but I'll keep trying. I was 5, and it was 67 years ago. How we deal with weekly mass murder. Yeah, good way to get canceled. Market forces, all right. This, all these poems are just sort of like memoir. Like tiny memoirs. Market forces. So I'm driving home from the office when I espy a blonde bombshell in a spanky new Mercedes sports car, a blue one, a high maintenance babe, I think. 5 minutes later, I see her pull up beside me again. But wait, something's not right. I take a closer look and realize it's a much older model, somewhat faded and sad, like the blonde inside. My country, where market forces govern everything. That actually happened. Oh, the extremists. You're going to love the extremists. I met this poor girl who was trying to be a prostitute, wanted to be a prostitute, and she couldn't. She couldn't be it. He was a nice kid. Extrema at death's door. Oh, she had gone to Vegas to try to work as a whore there. Texting me about Extrema at death's door. Texting me about killing herself last night. I tried to explain that she would be the first person in history to kill herself over old clothes. Go to the ER, I counseled. They would put her in a nut ward a few days until she calmed down. You would think girls were still living in trees, fighting over stolen mangoes, screeching like monkeys.
Unknown caller.
Our station are blocked, so hold on. Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello?
Yes, it's me. Hello? This is David Stoll. Go ahead. Do I have rental income? What? No. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's, yeah, I do. Wait a minute. All right. Here's a great one. I'm doing my taxes. Sorry for the interruption. The evolution of woman from the ape. Every time I see the rape of the Sabine women at the Met, I think of the ancient author who commented that the women were happy with their new husbands after a week. Women were fought over and traded hands for the 50 million years that they evolved from the apes. That's a mistake. For the 5 million years that they evolved from the ape. This must have gone on for eons previously while they were still apes. So their present flexibility should be regarded as a natural adaptation. This will come as no consolation to a guy who catches his bitch running around. I love this one. This brings back memories. Anton, is everything working here? Is it all set up and working? Hello? Anton? Because I dropped my, I knocked my microphone over. I had to pick it up again. What? It's okay? Man, I wish he would speak up. My bitch. I talk about my bitch as if I only had one. I have three. One purrs like a kitten and smiles so sweetly that you would think it was Christmas. Another rages like a lion. Another laughs and emotes. She makes so much noise you'd think she was a celebrity on Letterman. And it's all one 5'10" insaniac bitch. She's the one that I love. So what's wrong with me? Nothing a brain transplant won't cure. I listened to Richard Blanco's speech online. This is the man who recited his poem at the last Obama inaugural. He told us all about it in a talk online. He said a consensus was forming that he was a really capable poet, implying that he had been selected for the honor because of the merit of his poetry. It had nothing to do with his being gay or a refugee from Cuba. He thought it was wonderful for his mother to sit with him and mention being gay at least 5 times. He even told us what kind of gay he was. He identified with women. Hey, this is all cool. Some of the greatest artists in history were homosexuals. But Oscar Wilde could write. I read Blanco's inaugural poem, and it was pure shit. When I see the bums and derelicts, I see people who have given up the fight, the daily struggle against food, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, indolence. So many have gone down to defeat. I studied Benjamin Franklin's words in class while the other children were sleeping. I know them by heart. It seems like a century has passed. Drink not to excess, eat not to repletion. Poor Richard's Almanac. Okay, I wrote this, God, yeah, I think I wrote all these in 2015. Yeah, And this was when Trump was running for his first election. I may have to run for president. The Trumpster has a big mouth and is hell-bent on self-destruction. I'd support Hillary if I knew she'd obey her husband. It's in her marriage vows, but can I trust her? What made me decide to run was the hamburger cheeks on my sweet Polish waitress. Severe acne showing through 5 coats of pancake makeup. She was so happy when I told her what big, beautiful eyes she had, and her smile drove me insane with desire. Not easy for a man of 100. Acne had ruined her life, or what would otherwise be a great, big, beautiful girl. People are born this way. It seems that 90% of the girls in New York City have acne and/or vampire circles around their eyes. It results from damage to their chromosomes caused by generations of stress and pollution. Every other person today is dyslexic, has disabling allergies, ADD, bipolar syndrome, chronic fatigue disorder, autism, und so weiter. In 3 generations, everyone will be born disabled. I also observe that the average American is functionally retarded. Peeps are not going to enjoy hearing this, but they must no longer have their own children. We must focus on improving our race. I'll be running on a program of better fetuses for America. Can I rely on your support? I hope I don't get canceled for that one. Oh, God. Well, this is the best of all of them. Now, this is an absolutely true story, okay? I could tell you the background here, but it's not important. The true story of Jolo, confidence man. Jolo was everything that no Jew wants to be. 5 feet tall, ugly, 40, and eluding the law. He would pace back and forth in front of me as he talked, looking up at me sideways with a goofy grin, so I just saw one eye and his bald head covered with stubble. They used to say, for all the world. Well, Jolo looked for all the world like a baby vulture. The story was that he was paying court-ordered restitution to a fat woman who had made charitable donations to him in Baltimore or Boston or someplace starting with a B. All he had ever done or knew how to do was be a confidence man. Of course, he didn't call that. He called it a friend. So he was now befriending a new fat woman in Tampa to pay restitution to the old one in Boston or Baltimore. In Jolo's world, all women were fat women. He complained bitterly that women did the same thing, sweet-talked men out of their money, and they didn't have to pay it back. I agreed and would have hidden him in my basement if I had had one. It's Florida. Jolo wasn't a bad guy. He just wanted to be a friend. He argued that it was a free country, and if someone wanted to be your friend and give you all their money, what's the big deal? It was the all part that bothered me. So I'm the kind of guy who thinks he has to take cases no one in the history of the world would take and befriend the least among you. That was Jolo, all right. Or is it all right? Right, I got the 2 different spellings there. I keep forgetting. So the least among you was chugging along, better dressed. So the least among you was chugging right along, eating better, dressing better, courtesy of a new friend, a fat one, as usual, when he did something he didn't have to do that changed his life. Don't think for a moment that Jolo enjoyed being Jolo. Au contraire, he had always dreamt of being Marlon Brando. As soon as he got his hands on the money, he bought a used hog, climbed aboard, and without forethought or instruction, ran straight into a brick wall. I thought it was the end for poor Jolo. He would be in a wheelchair for 6 months. He had shattered his leg in numerous places. Horror of horrors. I would have to shelter and feed him. But au contraire again, my homies. He was back at the Copper Lounge. He was back at the Copper Door Lounge a week later, wooing new chubsters from his wheelchair and soon in the money. No, I enjoyed Joe. He was a nice guy. And that was his story. Okay, one more. In group therapy with my bitch last night. It all started when she threw a shit fit over a mess I made while painting. I had paused to eat watermelon and got watermelon juice on the floor. She screamed like she had just seen a murder, maybe a child shot dead in a drive-by shooting. This resulted in a high decibel hour-long session of group therapy. I am an amateur psychotherapist, a sort of poor man's Sigmund Freud, and we have had many such group therapy sessions. They begin with screaming our lungs out, and I win because I have a booming baritone and can holler like Pavarotti in an opera seria. She wears herself out in a few minutes, and we begin talking. She has issued a schizophrenic 20 count indictment against me, enumerating a host of horrific crimes against humanity, how I forgot to send the sheets to the laundry, how I forgot Blazer's cat litter, and so weiter, and so forth. She says I refuse to meet her halfway. Yes, by doing all the housework, changing Blazer's litter, keeping the room neat. She calls this not meeting her halfway. I tell her that I have identified her 4 syndromes and 3 different personalities: bipolar, borderline schizophrenic, arrested development, the coexistence of bitch 1, 2, and 3 under one roof. An hour later, she says she's sorry. She takes everything back. We go to bed and make love. So, do I dare? Oh, this brings back fond memories. Again, this is a pure memoir. Every single thing that you hear in my poems is a memoir. Do I dare? Do I dare to let people read my poems? My pal Dr. Dave says it's okay to be a monster, but he's not the one they'll come looking for, pitchforks in hand. They, the American people, who I have likened to the cast from the dawn of the dead. I understand that no one's been killed for writing a poem before, but I'm a little different from the poets of yore. Poets once had to be published in books, but were appropriate for public libraries. Poets censored themselves. I may have gone too far. I have written the first inflammatory poems. I see peeps turning into werewolves and jumping out of buildings after reading my poems. My Spanish sculptor friend, Ria Marmentini, says my poems are naked. I think she means that I'm revealing things that have always been hidden. The American people have never heard the truth about anything. Just how much truth can they bear? Maybe I should move to Amazonia first and wear a funny hat and grow a beard and dye my hair. Right. Oh, God. Makes me cry. Nostalgia. A little nostalgia. I was a wild young animal. In my 30s, I would try out a new restaurant with another lawyer and sleep with a waitress that night. I tried to pollinate every hot number that crossed my path. For the first time in my life, I gained an intimate knowledge of we the people. I remember a black-eyed half-breed beauty. Oh, she was smoking hot. I knew she was Cherokee and asked her what she knew about her ancestors. She didn't know what an ancestor was. I learned how obsessively jealous many husbands were from sleeping with their wives. I don't care what they say. Many wives, quotes most, are looking for a better deal. Much of what I learned about people came from my updated edition of The Adventures of Casanova. Okay. My 82-year-old second cousin has been putting out M&Ms to catch mice. Mice? She will be delirious with joy if she succeeds in trapping a single mouse. Cousin Nancy, the fearless mouse trapper. What will she do if she's lucky enough to ensnare a wee beastie? Feed it to her cat? Invite the neighbors over to witness her achievement? Will I be doing this if I live another decade, hatching fiendish plans to catch mice? Oh, I love this one. This is a response to a newsflash I read. It's called Where's the Love? Some people think with their reptile brains. This is the brain below the cortex. It's all we had to think with in the Permian. It says, eat it, fuck it, stomp it, kill it. Two motorcycle gangs met in a bar in Waco, Texas, and found they couldn't get along. 9 shot dead over a parking space. As I write this, hog-mounted gangs from all over Texas are converging on Waco, hoping to join in the fun. Did I read that right? 9? Is that possible? 9 shot dead? Oh my God, only in America. Where's the love, I called it. Oh, here's the extremist. Here is the extremist. Okay. Listening to my bitch run her ignorant gator, I am transported to another time and place. One when men went out to hunt meat on the hoof, while women sat in the caves, suckling the young and gabbing nonstop. Boy, I bet they were happy to get the hell out of the cave. No good, no good. I have a great poem about Bukowski. I gotta find this. You're gonna love it. Bukowski and his cat with the broken back, remember? What the hell is this? My bitch is not bisexual. All 40 of her girls are bi or lesbian, and her male friends are mostly gay. She goes to all their birthday parties. It seems like one a week to me. She came home last night with a new personality, militant as hell, speaking on behalf of bitches everywhere, and told me the reason all women were at least bi was because we men were dogs. Men were deceivers ever, said the bard. All I wanted was sex, she says. That's bullshit, I said. I'm always complaining bitterly that she's cold and unloving, and she is half the time. I didn't recognize her new personality. It was one I had never encountered. It sounded fresh from a pride rally. I remembered how I asked her about it when I met her, and she had said, I go both ways. Later, when I asked her to tell me everything, she said she'd only done it once with a lesbian. When a lesbian got her drunk, she didn't like it and never did it again. I can actually reconcile her two statements. She is stupid and insane. You say, why the hell do I keep her? All I can say is, you haven't seen her without her clothes. No, I love my bitch. God. Do it yourself. Whenever I asked anyone to do something for me, it was a catastrophe. Once I actually got sued for malpractice. Wait a minute, make that twice. Both were fellow lawyers. Why did God make so many worthless people? America is the ultimate expression of the war of every man against every man. America is the death of idealism. Americans have two concerns. First, did it happen to me? 4 passenger jets full of people vanished. When was that? Well, really? I guess it proves that shit happens. Their second concern is, what's in it for me? Oh, this is interesting. Maybe I'll make this one my last one. America. Before I met her, she waitressed in a sports bar in Jersey, where the patrons were riffraff who came in drunk as 10 skunks and broke all the tables and chairs. Her bar went out of business, and she took long bus trips to find work without success. We were in recovery. It was 2013. She was 20 and living with 4 other kids who, like her, had great difficulty paying their share of the rent and utilities because they drank too much and got high too much on their days off. When she told me about her life, I remembered a dream I had as a child. In this dream, I came upon a group of children who had no parents and lived underground. They were all green, and I never found out why. They were all green, and I never found out what had happened to them or why they were green, but I knew they liked me, and I could always run away myself and be one of them. I had this dream often. And now I was meeting them as bigger children who were no longer green or living underground, but were still a family. I learned why they had no families other than themselves. Their parents were drug addicts and hippies and worthless pieces of shit. Poor Extrema. I'm finding the extreme approach now. She went to Vegas to try to get work as a whore, and this is how she ended up. Extrema of the Extrema of the delusions. Extrema is tired of handing out flyers in Vegas and wants to be a bird in a gilded cage. What girl doesn't? She texts me about a new suitor every week. One in New York City, one in Chicago, one in Dubai, all vying for her. She says her old sugar daddy wants her back. He wants to marry her, and she is demanding an 8-carat diamond ring. She lives two lives, a hopeless and brutal one, where she is always behind in her bills, and all of her friends are wannabe whores who hand out flyers because they are too ugly to sell their bodies. At the same time, she lives in a world of her imagination. Another poem about my bitch. With her makeup on and assuming she hasn't been drinking milk, I'm breaking out. My bitch can drive men insane with desire. I mean, completely out of their fucking minds. Yes, verily, verily, I think I have actually been in danger on a couple occasions. Well, that's no good. Oh, here's an extreme poem. My dog, Extrema. Old men have dogs and love the attention they get, all the petting and compliments. Extrema is better than any dog because she can play pool, and she talks to me when I get the low-down blues. Just what kind of dog can play pool, you are probably asking. Just what kind of dog are you talking about anyway, mister? Hey, I got it. You're just kidding. You're pulling my leg. I'm not. No, Extrema is real. Extrema loves me like a dog loves its bone. Extrema loves being a pet. When we're walking in the subway, we laugh when we see the feminist propaganda with the beautiful women who say, I'm not your pet. I'm not your possession. I'm not your experiment. Extrema is an experiment that failed. She wants me to do more experiments on her. Can I please take her apart and put her back together again? Oh, here is a memoir from my days when I was 12 on the farm. Yeah, I like this one. The Hired Man. I used to help an old farmer on a nearby farm. He was as old as my grandfather's. I won't tell you his name. After we worked all day in the orchards, he would stop walking and stand there and not say a thing. Did he think I wasn't old enough to talk to? I don't think so. I was 12 and no longer a child. He would reach into his overall pocket and give me any change that happened to be there and walk away. He never said thank you, hello, goodbye, see you tomorrow. At the same time, I knew that he liked me and wanted me to come every day. I had played with his son when I was little. His son was a year older but childish and never pitched in. Mother told me about it when he took his own life 5 years later. We were in the kitchen. How did I feel? I felt it was bound to play out that way because something was wrong with him. That's a true story. That's a true story. Farmer Packer, I can see him standing there, reaching into these overalls and taking out his change and giving it to me. Not a word. Not a thank you, goodbye, kiss my ass. Nothing. And then when his son killed himself, I put it together and what is this crazy stuff? I don't know about that one. I like this. For cat lovers everywhere, I have never been a cat person. I've always been leery of men who are cat lovers. Something wrong with this bird, I would say to myself. John Wayne never had a cat. Then what am I doing with my girlfriend's dying old tomcat, 16 years old? He wakes me up at all hours caterwauling at the top of his lungs. I give him tuna and he wants salmon, and nothing but the best is good enough. He's a gourmet. He turns up his nose at the cheap stuff, wants his water changed every day, demands air conditioning in the warm weather. Blazer. If he's unhappy about something I did, he pisses all over the hardwood floors. Nothing reeks like cat urine. So why do I do it? Love's a bitch. That's pretty good. I mean, that's true stuff. I got another one about waking up and being half asleep and finding out I'm walking in cat shit from Blazer. This is interesting. No, I could be canceled for that. That's a good poem. Listening to the Lone Ranger. This will be my last. I was 7. I must have been in 2nd grade. Every day I got home from school just after 3. I stood beside a radio listening to my 2 programs, The Lone Ranger and Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. Why was I always standing? I must have been tired of sitting for 6 hours. I remember the year and how I was fascinated by the zero the first time I wrote 1950. My mother was a red-headed angel who looked like the paintings of the Virgin Queen, like her red-headed little sister. I imagine her thinking, Russell's listening to his programs. I remember how I was transported by the programs at first, all the gunfire and hoofbeats in the Hi-Ho Ranger. I remember Sergeant Preston's bright red Mountie uniform. But after a few programs, I realized that all of the 10-minute plots were identical. The good guy gets in a hell of a jam, but escapes somehow and catches the bad guys. Then I found myself listening in disbelief to the identical plot to see if people were really so retarded that they would listen to the same thing day after day ad nauseum. So this is life, I concluded. I'm trapped here and will live the rest of my life in a world full of shitheads. I've got a great poem. Oh yeah, here it is. Little backstory. You got to know about Bukowski's signature event in his life is that he adopted a cat that had been run over in the driveway, and its back was broken, and it dragged its back legs. All right, and he identified with his cat. Okay. A noise in the kitchen. I heard something in the kitchen and woke up despite taking a double dose of Dr. Dave's famously potent sleeping pills. It was a ghost, of course. It was rummaging in the fridge, probably looking for a beer. It looked up at me startled, with a cross-eyed cat face, which I recognized immediately as Charles Bukowski. Without speaking, it began crawling across the kitchen floor with dead legs dragging and beer in hand to the kitchen table. I got a beer and joined it. We studied each other a moment. He no longer looked like a white cross-eyed cat. He looked like himself, the world's ugliest white man. Well, say something, fuckface. Well, say something, fuckface, he began. That's enough. I'm so glad I found that last poem. That's one of my favorites. The dream of Bukowski as the cat with the broken back. I've got another really great poem that for some reason I did not find, and I'll leave it as an enticement for you to come back and hear it. It is the case of the disappearing SugarBabies. Tech says it's the best. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. And I'm not getting comments, damn it. I want comments. If you want to write poetry, start writing memoir poetry like mine. And share it with us. Yeah. Okay. My God, it's 6:30. Sayonara. Tech.